European countries are at a crossroad now. Either they rediscover their national identities and ally themselves to protect their common heritage, or they will simply fade away. When you base a community on values, you will for sure make someone feel excluded and disappointed, but you will make society stronger and united. The question is relatively simple. Can populist movements reclaim patriotism? The short answer is they must reclaim patriotism. Otherwise, they are doomed to fall apart. And I could close my speech here, but since we have some more time, I will go a little bit more into details. 6 years ago, I had the honor to serve as head of staff for Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini in that very first real populist government that we had here in Europe. A government born from the unusual alliance between Lega and the Five Stars movement, and that was supposed to be the first wave of a populist storm that was ready to change the political scenario of Europe forever. Well, unfortunately, making a long story short, that government collapsed in less than 15 months, leaving behind little or no heritage. To understand why, we need to understand what populism is about. The essence of populism, from my point of view, is very simple. We can summarize it in this motto: simple, common sense solutions to big problems. Well, illegal immigration is undermining security and social unity. Okay, just close the borders and the harbors, and the problem will disappear. Unemployment rate is too high, salaries are too low. Okay, let's provide a universal basic income to every citizen, and we'll be fine. It looks very reasonable, theoretically. Unfortunately, as soon as you take over the government as a populist movement, you will be forced to deal with financial restrictions, international commitments, and other undemocratic, yet very, very effective factors. First of all, the pressure from the financial market. And believe me, if you have a huge government debt, as in the case of Italy, if the financial market doesn't trust you and doesn't consider your state bonds as a safe investment, you will be in trouble. We had governments falling for this reason, notably the last Bernasconi government in 2011. Then you have presidents of the Republic in most of our European countries. And the president may not share your populist approach. Then you have the Constitutional Court that may easily undermine any governmental decision on the basis of it being allegedly conflicting with the Constitution. Then you have all these international institutions, the various bodies of the European Union, but also the European Court of Human Rights, that will try to overthrow some of your political decisions in the name of human rights, in the name of free market, in the name of anything, or just because they don't like it. Look at what happened in Romania, where an election was cancelled without any substantial evidence of fraud, just because someone in Brussels didn't like the result. Or look at the pressure that Brussels is using on Hungary and Slovakia to force them to align with the mainstream European position on military aids to Ukraine. All these factors make the scenario a little bit more complex than you would expect. And they limit a lot the leeway of governmental action. And once they join the government, populists are forced to face the harsh truth that, quoting Orban, they are in government, but they are not in power. And that was exactly the feeling I had during that first Italian populist experiment. So in order to deliver at least part of what it promised, populism needs to find a way to regain some independence from these external influences and to reduce the impact and the influence of these external actors. It means that populism has to embrace sovereignism. And please allow me to use the French term souverainism instead of the English sovereigntism that sounds terribly mechanical and artificial to me. But it's actually not just the word. there is something artificial in sovereignism itself, in the concept, because it is built on the myth of the sovereignty of the people. But if you ask why national sovereignty is better than a European sovereignty, or even a theoretical global sovereignty, you will not find a convincing answer in a merely sovereignist ideological environment. If it's about representative democracy, you can apply it to several levels. You can have representative democracy at national, at European, even at global level. So why keeping the power at the national level should be better? Sovereignty will not provide you an answer because it's not an ideology, it's a tool, an instrument. And also, sovereignty shares with populism another serious limitation. They both rely on people. They are based on the will of people, but they don't know the people. They see the people just as voters, and all they know is what people want right now, what people voted for in the very last election. But they completely lack a long-term view of society as a whole that embraces the past and the future of the country. If you want to justify your preference for keeping the power at the national level, you must take a further step and embrace an openly nationalist approach. And I know nationalist is a bad word. We have been taught for decades that nationalism is the root of all evil and that universalism and globalism are the only way to peace and prosperity. Well, I think we have seen in Paris, in Berlin, in London, even here in Brussels, where 89 people were killed in a terrorist attack in March 2016, the amazing results of the peaceful universalism. We are told that nationalism is divisive. Well, to some extent, it is true. Every community, including a national community, is based on boundaries that define in-group and out-group. But universalism doesn't eliminate, doesn't erase division. It brings division right inside the community. Do you think there is more unity and peace in the nationalist Poland or in the globalized Sweden? In the nationalist Hungary or in Belgium? Well, if you take a walk around Brussels, you can figure it out. But, well, I was mentioning regaining independence from external influences and from the European institutions. But do you think these institutions will just accept to lose their grip on your countries without fighting back? Well, populist forces must expect some serious backlash in their quest for independence. And good luck telling people that they have to endure some hardships for the sake of national interest if you don't provide them a clear vision of what their nation is and what is its place in the world. Just an abstract notion of belonging to a merely conceptual, theoretical community defined just by holding a certain national passport won't be enough. You need to enable people to feel part of a national community with a real community, based on common values. And when you base a community on values, you will for sure make someone feel excluded and disappointed, but you will make society stronger and united and able to face the challenges of our time. The real question to me is if this can be done, if it can be done in Western Europe. Can we restore the sense of belonging to a national community in Belgium, in Italy, in France? I don't know. Some of our countries have been flooded for decades with illegal immigrants with little or no interest into becoming an active part of our societies. Some others, like Italy, are still relatively young and born out of the unification of pre-existing nations who have not been able to merge and to fully integrate yet. But look at the case of Hungary, maybe the best example of a strong national community in today's Europe. Are Hungarians really so naturally united? I don't think so. If you speak with a person born in Western Hungary, near Austria, and to another Hungarian from Kolozsvár, in Transylvania, you will notice that their culture, their mindset, their traditions are different. Yet they clearly feel to belong to the same national community. And I think we should give credit for this to 20 years of investments and efforts from the urban governments to strengthen their national community. Because national communities are born, but you need to nurture them, to support them, to feed them. And that's what a government should do. Orban, I think, was the first to understand that populist movements are not sustainable in the long term. Either they fall back into the classical political categories, as it happened in Italy with the Five Stars movement, that now is just another old-school left-wing party, or they evolve into patriotic nationalist parties, as it happened to Lega in the last 10 years. Well, I honestly don't know to what extent this model can be replicated in Western European countries. But for sure, I know it is worth trying. European countries are at a crossroad now. Either they rediscover their national identities and ally themselves to protect their common heritage, or they will simply fade away in a sort of von der Leyen's dream into an indistinct and largely uncivilized Afro-Asian melting pot ruled by an Islamic caliphate, because that's the future we face. And Brussels is a very good example of this. Take a walk in Molenbeek, and you will see the future of Europe. Take a walk in some areas, in Stockholm, in Paris, in Berlin, even in Milan, and you will see the bright future of von der Leyen's Europe. And we, as intellectuals, I think, have the moral duty to try to help our countries choosing the right path. Can we succeed? I don't know, but we have nothing to lose and we have everything to gain. So let's keep up the fight. Thank you.